I love a good cult. Always have. You may have noticed the Heaven's Gate away team patch on the hat that is worn in many of my videos. I know for a fact that you've noticed these Scientology books on my bookshelf. I received so many comments about these books that I did an entire live stream explaining to people why I have these books, and that no, I am not in fact a Scientologist. I find cults to be infinitely fascinating, just like I find music to be infinitely fascinating. But you know what really makes my whistle wet? When the two converge into one amazing five-chunk of cringe. In the year 1990, the Church of Scientology made a music video complete with a We Are the World style song. Now, why did a cult make a music video? And who would have even seen this thing? And what would a video like this even look like? Stick around as we take a deep dive into some good old-fashioned propaganda. This is Dancing with Ghosts. This is a music video you were never supposed to see. What you are watching is the Church of Scientology collectively grabbing their nuts and flipping the bird to the IRS. During the 1980s, Scientology's founder, L. Ron Hubbard, was facing severe penalties from the IRS for years of unpaid back taxes from the sales of his various books and other monetary windfalls such as donations from parishioners. Hubbard's right-hand man, David Miscavige, hatched a plan to have the higher-ups in the IRS followed by private investigators. These PIs would make note of any kind of event held by the IRS that was paid for with public tax dollars. Say it was some kind of an IRS conference and an employee ordered a gin and tonic. Well, that information would be gathered up by Scientology's expensive private detectives until they had amassed enough data that might constitute a malfeasance in the eyes of the American taxpayer.
There is going to be a IRS conference in the Catskills, right? And so we would send a PI, find out which hotel it's going to be at, get down there during happy hour, socialize, and this guy's tallying who's drinking what. And so we go through the Freedom of Information Act to find out that the taxpayers are paying the bar bill. And it's so much money. And of course, you know, in the scheme of things, it's nothing. But from a PR perspective, it's everything.
Scientologists were also ordered by the thousands to file lawsuits against the IRS in every jurisdiction possible.
Thousands of Scientologists all filed lawsuits, not just against the IRS, but against individual IRS employees. 2,400 total lawsuits, all going at the IRS at one time.
This became a litigation nightmare for the IRS, and they wanted the problem to go away. The solution? Good old-fashioned political quid pro quo. Scientology promised to make the lawsuits go away, and the IRS agreed to give Scientology tax-exempt status by recognizing it as a religious organization.
What happened is that Fred Goldberg, who was the IRS commissioner at that time, Miscavige let Goldberg know that if we could find a way to get tax-exempt status, all those lawsuits will go away overnight.
And as we were going out the door, Fred Goldberg goes, "Is he serious?" And I said, "Yeah." And he sort of breathed a sigh of relief and kind of nodded and smiled.
This was seen as a religious crusade led by one Dave Miscavige, who had at this point clawed his way up to the top using brute force tactics after the death of L. Ron Hubbard in 1986.
Thus, at 2000 hours Friday, the 24th of January, AD 36, L. Ron Hubbard discarded the body he had used in this lifetime for 74 years, 10 months, and 11 days. Although you may feel grief, understand that he did not and does not now.
After taking on the IRS and winning, Miscavige wanted to bookend this moment in Scientology history with a celebratory music video. This was when the gaudy, self-congratulatory We Stand Tall was born. This video was meant to be seen only by other Scientologists. Like most things having to do with Scientology, this video was meant to be kept as an internal affair. But with the internet being the glorious invention that it is, the video eventually leaked, and for at least the last decade, we've had this beautiful piece of art to both mock and sneer at. As far as the song itself goes, I could talk about how it sounds like a cheesy 80s charity song. But, it was released in 1990, a time not so far removed from when those types of songs were in vogue. With that being said, this song kind of takes the cake for cheesy-ass charity songs. At least we had Steve Perry and Michael Jackson on We Are the World. As I said earlier, the video itself is flexing all of the brightest and shiniest achievements it had accomplished at that point. From 40 seconds in until now, they're showing footage from their Freedom Crusade, which was essentially the movement against the IRS to get Scientology its tax-exempt status. This sign is referring to L. Ron Hubbard's first self-help book, if you will. It was called Dianetics, and it is seen as essential reading if you're a Scientologist. Now they're showing off their various celebrities and high achievers who are in the organization. It was very important to L. Ron Hubbard to recruit celebrities in the organization, as he felt it would give his movement more credibility. Now we're seeing Scientology flex their dissemination muscles with organizations, or orgs, opening up all over the world. What they don't show you is that these orgs are empty most of the time and are just there as a facade that shows the church is doing well. Now we finally get the truly cringiest part of the entire video, the pasty face choir. Yes, all these very Caucasian men were the top brass in Scientology at the time. And right there, see that little kid standing there at a resounding 5'4"? That's our fearless leader, David Miscavige. Wearing a shirt that screams, "I am a human 90s trapper keeper." Seriously, anytime I've watched this video, and yes, sadly, it's been more than once, I always fixate on that goddamn shirt. You're the leader of a religious organization, and that's how you're going to dress? While everyone else around you are dressed like Southern Baptist deacons. When I zoom in on the shirt, it just raises more questions than answers. Also, fun fact, the guy standing right behind David Miscavige is Mike Rinder, a man who would go on to co-host a show called Scientology and the Aftermath with Leah Remini.
Exposing abuses is one thing. Putting an end to them happens by governmental action.
Let's follow the money in hopes that something is going to take away this organization's ability to hurt people.
Leah is also a former Scientologist and probably the most famous one. Their show presents interviews from former Scientologists and highlights the many abuses of Scientology. Isn't that ironic? Oh, also, at the beginning of this choir sequence, we see Shelley Miscavige, the fearless leader's wife. Yeah, she hasn't been seen in public since 2007. The video then goes on to show off all their courses and fancy gizmos, and they reveal the new OT level, which is OT 8, which is the highest level you can reach as a Scientologist. More showing off of their various orgs and properties. All those tax-free donations made that happen. Here we have their big-ass ship, the Freewinds, which is the only place you can receive OT8 training, and if you haven't guessed, it's very expensive. Finally, at the end of the video, we see the man himself, Mr. Lafayette Ron Hubbard, conducting one of his famous long-winded lectures. In later years, Scientologists would spend countless amounts of time and money to have these videos restored and colorized in pristine condition. The overall editing of this video came off as very linear, which is not the way most music videos are edited. Typically, in a music video, there's an A scene and a B scene. The A scene will usually be the band performing, and the B scene will be whatever else happens in the video. And then you kind of switch between the two scenes throughout the video. Unless you rock me tonight! In We Stand Tall, it's like a linear montage of how vast and awesome the Scientology organization thinks it is. They first show you the Freedom Crusade, then it's on to a typical day inside its Scientology org, then it's the Scientology celebrities, then their worldwide influence that they think they have, then it's pasty choir faces, then back to showing off more buildings, then in the last minute, it's all just footage of L. Ron Hubbard. There are some scenes that are scripted and have a cinematic look to them, and then there are other scenes that are just video recordings of real life events sort of jumbled in. The recording quality between the scripted scenes and the real life scenes are completely inconsistent with each other, and I'm sorry, I just don't think this video would have ever made it onto MTV's 120 Minutes. I mean, I wasn't expecting Scientology to deliver Billie Jean Part 2 or anything, but this is just awkward. Now, I can't talk about this video without mentioning the Saturday Night Live parody video. In 2015, after the release of the brilliant documentary Going Clear, SNL did a parody video of We Stand Tall called Always Believe. I don't know how much of this video I'm going to be able to show on my YouTube channel due to all the copyright crap, but I'll try to include some choice clips. I don't know, I could go way more in depth on this topic and really take time to define what a lot of these Scientology terms mean, but first, let's see what kind of views this video gets. Anyway, I want to know, did you know that this Scientology video existed before watching this video? And if you didn't know that it existed, I apologize that you now have seen and heard some of it. Let me know in the comments below about all that. I also highly recommend watching the documentary Going Clear, and I also recommend Leah Remini's Scientology in the Aftermath. And thirdly, I recommend Aaron Smith Levin's YouTube channel, Growing Up in Scientology. If you're into cult drama anywhere near the level I am, I think you'll really enjoy these recommendations. Until next time, have a good rest of your night.